Welcome back. This is episode 3. Everybody put up your 3 for NightShifters.
Got them.
Got those
All
things
right.
in the air. What's up, y'all?
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back.
I missed y'all over Thanksgiving.
What's that?
What?
I missed y'all.
We missed you too. I am feeling much better.
Good.
Tell everybody what was wrong with you, and if you were faking or if it was for real.
No, I still am going through it. Like now my nostrils are cleared, but I'm still sweating. I'm over here having my own summers. I had to open up a window. But I'm on the better side of things right now. So thank you. And Thanks for being patient and taking that extra week off for me. I will start today with a bit of sad news. Since I am a Las Vegas resident and we do have some UNLV students that are in our media centers quite often. Also, Darian from the NASCAR Weekly podcast is a UNLV alumni. We are currently still investigating, not me, but authorities are still investigating our mass shooting that we had on UNLV's campus today. So I just want to say give our condolences to the students of UNLV today.
Absolutely.
Also, I just wanted to talk about how safe I actually feel whenever I do attend a race. I was saying earlier that I don't normally like to go to crowded places because we are still recovering from the mass shooting that we had on October 1st a few years ago. So it's really important that when I go somewhere, I do feel safe. And I was mentioning that even at F1 for the first time here, there were snipers on buildings, making sure everything was safe, and safety definitely was not a problem that weekend. And as both of you have noticed, we also feel very safe at NASCAR. So we can talk about that for a little bit.
That's right. We have our own safety crew. At our events, we do have, plainclothes officers. We have snipers. We have the SWAT style wagon tank looking big trucks. They come ready.
You name it, you got it. There's a lot of people there to police too and observe because what makes our sport so unique from ball sports, just look at it like this. You sell out the Panther Stadium. How many people are likely to be there, you think?
You got at least 65, 80,000.
All right. Now we sell out Daytona 500 or
100,000 easy. It's 100,000 walking the infield.
And then they're spread out all over the place.
Right.
There's no check-ins. There's no security checkpoints anywhere. My first racing experience, I was flabbergasted about the amount of people that was around, just walking around free and can go anywhere they wanted to go. And they had so much access. So Crystal, I understand why you would feel nervous, especially after the events, the craziness that's going on out there. But at the end of the day, with NASCAR, the eye in the sky is always watching, and they do a very good job.
I mean, our cameras are the same cameras they use on tennis courts for Wimbledon, and we tracking balls, so we tracking people.
Well, if you can track if you can track a pit crew member who jumps too early from 300 feet in the sky, and he doesn't have a chance to argue, I'm pretty sure you're going to find somebody trying to do something wrong, or at least get some footage of something at that track.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Safety is a big issue. Safety is something that our sport does take seriously, and they do a good job of making sure that from week in to week out, we maneuver safely.
Yeah. And even I know I had a bit of a medical emergency the night before championships, and I debated whether I should travel or not to go to the track. And my ultimate decision was that if anything happens to me while I'm there, you got the EMS services right there ready to go. So It's really one of the safest places that I feel traveling to.
No, absolutely. And you got to think of the type of fans. Like you can't predict anything bad is going to happen, but at the end of the day, from my experience, I haven't missed a race in 20 years. And yes, I've never been put in a situation at the racetrack where I felt like, fearful of my life personally, except for natural disasters. Now, when those storms come rolling in, that's stuff that you can't really control. That's out of your control. But as far as my personal safety around, other human beings, I think NASCAR, I know NASCAR, does a very good job. But like I said, you cannot control everything.
Yeah, I think my worst fear being at a track is a freak accident where I'm just the lucky one that looks up when a tire goes flying into the air. So that's I don't expect that to happen, but you always have to acknowledge that's a possibility. You just never know.
That's
Right,
only watching it from pit road. But I mean, like I said, it's a spectator sport, it's a spectator sport, and that's what makes it exciting somewhat. But at the end of the day, I would rather have the excitement stay on the racetrack and not in the hands of somebody just hating on the experience.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we just passed up December 1st, and I know that was a very important date. That is the 60th anniversary of Wendell Scott's first win. Although I have to say, I didn't really see anything coming from NASCAR. I did see a post from like NASCAR and NBC, but I've also seen people on social media that were pretty upset about the representation of Wendell Scott on that day. Like 60 years is a big deal. So what could NASCAR have done, or did you even see whether NASCAR did anything about it or celebrating it? Was there any kind of event held? What did you notice?
I only saw one post,
Chris,
and I think it was the same post you saw on the NBC SN deal. And it wasn't, I mean, it was a nice article, but it wasn't, I didn't see anything outside of that.
Yeah.
Like, none of the news feeds were flooded with, the celebration of Wendell Scott, who, like Rocko, are now trendsetters. If it wasn't for him, it would be no us, right? So you got to give thanks to him to being a pioneer and, I won't say paving those roads because they was definitely bumpy, but at least cutting the grass for us to come through,
Yeah, especially with the controversy that was around his first win and not even getting the trophy until a few years ago. I feel like
But Crystal, are we surprised? Crystal, are we surprised? That was in the 60s. It's how many years? So just the fact that this man had the wherewithal and the know-how to even race back then and enter these races. You got to think of the fact that this man wasn't even allowed to even be there. Even when he was allowed to be there, he didn't have the same stuff. He didn't get the same treatment to be able to overcome all of that and still win the race. Not only is that historic and a great achievement, it wasn't, when I first started the sport, I didn't know who Wendell Scott was. I thought the first driver was, my guy, who I'm talking about, Chris, with waste management. Who's
Bill Davis.
Bill Davis. How special we thought he was when we met him first time. But I thought that was the first black NASCAR driver in NASCAR until it was like year 2 and 3 until Coach Horton schooled me on our research, and he introduced me to Wendell Scott and that history. And not only that, I had the honor of speaking at the gala last year at the Wendell Scott Gala, and just their family. The thing that stands out to me is their family, located not too far from Martinsville Speedway, but the history that is family and how well they're known in that area. I'm a big city guy. We live in Charlotte. I'm from Atlanta, but you don't realize the impact that a family like that has on a town like that. And I think a lot of future race car drivers, were inspired by Wendell Scott, and still are today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, when you were talking about waste management, you said it's Bill Lester, right?
Bill Lester. I said Bill Davis.
Lester.
Bill Davis is the owner.
Bill
Lester. Davis? We were thinking of the team owner. No.
The team owner was Bill Davis.
Lester. Okay, I was like, wait a minute. There's two Bills.
He's the Georgia boy from Atlanta, and like I said, we just didn't know any better, Crystal. We just saw a black man racing cars, and you didn't know anybody else before that. You just assumed he was the first or the only. But, hearing his story, and then they even had the movie Grease Lightning. If you remember,
I saw that.
Grease Lightning. That was based off of that.
What's the comedian's name?
Richard Pryor.
Thank you.
Yes. So everybody Crystal's age, you Google that movie.
Yeah. That's a must watch. That's a must watch.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
No, I said everyone Crystal's age, your age, you need to implore all your people to watch that movie because that was probably before your time. Me and CJ are a little bit triple OGs over here.
Maybe I won't say it was before my time, but I definitely didn't watch it as a kid. So I had to watch it as an adult. I'll tell you, I probably watched it about 2 years ago, but it is good. I think I try to force my family into watching it, and I'll do it again every Christmas.
Well, I hope
check it out after this podcast.
I hope we did our part to tell people about Wendell Scott, even though the media might not have covered it as much, a historic family, a historic name, and just in the society we live today, there's no excuse that you can't learn about Wendell Scott and receive the impact that he's made on this sport.
Absolutely. I also want to like give credit to the family for being present like at most times. I've seen them a lot at races, and of course they were the sponsorship for the Wendell Scott Foundation was the sponsor for the Petty GMS truck that Raja Caruth drove, right?
Paying it forward. You know,
Right.
that's how you do it. You know, their family was the first to start a legacy and to create a pathway for other minority drivers. And it just makes sense for them to sponsor and to support and partner with a driver like Raja Caruth, you know, because if I know you agree with me, Chris, but it seems like Raja has been here before in that regard. It's like he was.
He's been here before.
Yeah,
like he's calm, cool, and collected in the racetrack. Like the kid's got swag. He's got charisma. You know, he can do it all. You know, once he gets that first win, the big win, and he takes off, his career is going to really, really shine. That kid's got something to work with.
And he doesn't even have to win just to shine. It's what's so impressive. But for the simple fact of where Raja came and how he got his shot, being able to make iRacing and he has never drove a race car before, and to make that translate into that race car to earn the opportunity to race a real live race car. I mean, you know, as a stick and baller, you know, you can buy a football and a basketball anywhere, but you can't buy a race car and go practice your laps. You can't just show up to a race car and drive. It's harder to perfect your craft. And thanks to iRacing, you know, they made that gap to gaining experience and to learning that skill set. They shortened that gap a lot, you know, because simulation has come such a long way where you can make it translate. William Byron is
another example.
Another perfect example from Liberty University. He went and got that bag from his school, funded him. And I mean, Alex Bowman, another one, you know, I think he lived in the simulation room at Hendrick, just driving the simulators. And there's no other way to get realistic simulation time, I mean, better than a simulator as opposed to being at the racetrack. And you can do it for hours. I mean, if I was a professional driver, just like when I was a tire carrier and I wanted to be the best, you put a lot of work and practice into that. So, you know, drivers like, you know, Larson and Blaney and Wallet, I mean, all those guys do, you know, is log that time. And, you know, it's almost like a cheat code if you have a very good similar. Wouldn't you agree?
Hands down. You know, you mentioned Larson. His cheat code is going, you know, the dirt racing. That keeps him on the edge.
And everywhere else.
Everywhere else. You know, so I think he said something about having 100 races next year. That's a lot of seat time. A lot of seat time. So yes, that translates into those successes when you put in the work, you know, and the time to make it happen.
And he has 100 races now. Like he's planned that out before, you know, the season even started. You know, that's putting in the work, you know, and there's a lot of similarities there with the best in the world that go over the wall on the pit crew as compared to the best that go, you know, but sit behind that wheel and drive that car. There's a lot of similarities with that. And I see a lot of Dog and Kyle Larson and drivers like that who don't shy away from perfecting their craft and staying busy.
Yep.
That's why they're at the top.
Yeah,
top he is.
Oh, damn show.
Speaking of guys at the top, I know you two had a lot of fun this past weekend in Nashville. Tell us about it. Champions Week 2023.
Nash Vegas put on the show.
Careful. Be careful. Be careful.
You know, Nashville's growing on me, you know, but you know, we've been going there for a banquet for I think over 3 years now. And it's just like you always see something different that you go. But one of the things that stood out to me most about the championship banquet was just the opportunity to hear from the speeches, the farewell speeches from Kevin Harvick and you know, Kurt Busch really responded to me. You know, just seeing him get a bit emotional, but at the end of the day, you know, Kurt Busch is a dog. You know, he didn't leave on his own terms. He was kind of forced out, but then to see him stand on that stage and the talk in total candor the way he did, you know, you could tell he felt like he was amongst friends and family. So just receiving the opportunity to hear some of those words, you know, I appreciated that a lot. Besides all of the schmoozing and boozing we were doing up there, you know what I'm saying?
Schmoozing and boozing.
Yeah, the schmoozing and boozing. Like you said, the speeches were phenomenal. The atmosphere was great. The night was perfect. We put on a good show. And I agree. The Kurt Busch speech, the Kevin Harvick speech,
Yeah.
you know, it really set the tone of how we.
Cole Custer, his speech.
Cole Custer, and how is it a big family?
Yep.
You know, all the champions thanked each other, thanked every sponsor. You know, so it wasn't just about that one champion. It was about the atmosphere of NASCAR, the family values of NASCAR. Yeah. You know, I even took my son with me.
Yeah,
you know,
did.
So it brings it all back together about being family. You know, a little exposure for him to see what we do and meet the people that we are fortunate to be around.
Now that's full circle too.
Huh?
That's full circle too, because I remember when I was taking my kids to pit stop practice, sitting in a car seat waiting while we were practicing, you know, to the point where when they're old enough to walk with you to the banquet and get G'd up in a suit with you, I mean, and Chris and this, I mean, that they were dripped up now. I mean, that they look good. And it was a bit surreal because I remember when it was born. Now he's wearing a suit next to you. Damn.
Wow.
Yeah. You know. So
with all the schmoozing and boozing, what did you call him?
Oh yeah, that was my restrictor plate. You know what I'm saying?
He held you in check. You had your restrictor plate with you.
Yeah, he kept me dialed in, make sure I didn't get out of line, get out too far. You know? Yeah.
Well, maybe one day I'll make it to the banquet. I know Adam in the media center in Phoenix was just like, let me know if I need to submit you for your like credentials to go to the banquet. I'm like, no, not this year, but I love seeing all the gowns. You know, it's a great experience for the fans. Like, I honestly wish that it would come back to Vegas. Then I could probably, you know, take part and enjoy it in its entirety back here. And I know there's probably like way more schmoozing and boozing. And wait a minute, I saw clips from Florida and all of the people from NASCAR dancing in their tuxedos. What was that?
The dads got on the stage. The dads and the soccer moms and the librarians jumped out on the stage. Florida. I seen 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old men shaking things that they haven't shook in 20 years. You know,
somebody called the chiropractor.
Yeah, everybody looked like they had a really good time.
Yeah, you had somebody sore.
Yeah, and you know what? I have to say I'm shocked since it was Nashville. It wasn't a country artist. I was so like thrown off by that.
I know. It was a good time. You know, Ben Rhodes, you know, I do want to comment on him because everybody makes fun of his celebrations. You know, his last celebration at the racetrack because, you know, he doesn't handle his beer really well. I was very impressed with how he was handling his liquor, you know, because I didn't see him doing any break dance and I didn't see any beer flying up. So, you know, Ben Rhodes held himself in check. At the same time, I saw a lot of sharp dressed individuals out there. The shoe game, there's a lot of heat on feet out there. The suits were good. You know, Skip Flores, you know, Ryan Flores, he had on a suit. He opened it up like this. And I mean, on the inside, you know, he had his whole team, you know, stitched in there. You know, it was a vibe out there. It was a lot of good energy.
Yeah,
I think Ryan Blaney had the same thing where he had all of his wins, the photos from the wins on the inside of his jacket, right?
Yeah.
I love that the status is getting up. You know, NASCAR is a vibe now. You know, you could tell that it's pushing up. It didn't feel like this 15, 20 years ago. You felt like you were kind of forcing the coolness out of NASCAR, where now it just seems to be flowing naturally.
Yeah. What else was going on in the city at the time? Did you guys catch any of like the parade and stuff going on? Like I didn't see too much, but I'm not sure if like there was a lot more because I know sometimes
it was cold. It was cold the first day.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't come
like
out.
Burnouts on the boulevard.
Yeah, they did that. I wasn't there for that. I came out Thursday morning, so I missed the parade with the burnouts. But you know, it was another city that for a good host. You know. They did a good job.
I saw it. It was a very good crowd. It was cold on the first day, and then as it progressed towards the banquet, it got warmer. But you know, that cold weather, you know, it'll cripple some people in the city when it hits a certain way. But other than that, I was very happy at the turnout because I mean, you still had people with their parkas on, with their earmuffs, and you know, they were taking pictures, and the crew members and the representation seemed very, very good out there.
Yeah.
Good. Well, maybe I'll go next year. I am afraid of cold weather. Is it snowing yet?
Not yet.
Nah, not where we're at.
Well, we're like reaching 65 to 67 during the day.
Oh,
so
man.
That's why I had to open up the window. It's getting hot. It's still hot for me.
Gosh.
Oh, 67 degrees. Oh, poor baby.
Dry heat. All right. So do you guys want to talk about Spire Motorsports?
Yeah, I think that's big,
Take it away.
Well, I really like the fact that, you have the smaller teams. We've seen that the smaller teams have a chance to compete now. The parity has increased. And now I like the fact that these teams are taking it to the next level. Doug Dukart named as the president of Spire. He's been at Hendrick. He's been at Ganassi prior. He's been in all these in Lamar. He's the type of dude that brings a different perspective. And he's been around winning teams. He's been around champions to the point where all that experience can get infused into a team like Spire with young drivers, young crew chiefs, where they can feed off of that energy. So, I think that's a win for Spire. I'm excited to see Spire doing stuff because Corey LaJoie is my guy. He's a fellow, he's swagged out. He's got good energy. For new race fans who really don't know who you should follow, he was one that I would suggest Corey LaJoie and aspiring with Zane Smith and, Hocevar joining that team. They have youth. What's exciting for me about Spire, it's very rare that you have two rookies competing for Rookie of the Year at the same team. So, that's going to really push those drivers, and the pit crew, the teams, period, because you're going to have two teams competing for the same goal besides winning races, but that coveted Rookie of the Year. And it's going to be a lot of pressure on both of those teams to outdo each other, but that's the type of energy that's needed to really gain an advantage over the competition. So that is one team that I'm really, really going to look out for because I like Spire. I like Corey LaJoie, and I like the fact that they're making the necessary moves to compete at a higher level.
Good. What about the new spotters? I noticed Ryan Blaney, our champion, is getting a new spotter. So is Chase Elliott. What's going on with that?
I mean, silly season. So, yeah, Timmy's moving over. Feeder was moving over to do Blaney's deal now that
they announced that
Harvick has retired. You have Eddie DeHunt coming over.
Yep.
To do Josh Berry's ride. So yeah, you got some people moving around.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kristen.
I was gonna say I just thought that it was interesting that you have your champion and a championship winning spotter, like you're moving that stuff around. Like, does that affect the following season? Does that like strike any fear in anybody? Isn't that strange to be doing?
Well, you have veterans moving. Your veterans are moving. Those spotters are no rookies that are moving to those positions. Tim Feeder was with Harvick for his whole ride, championships and all the wins. So, and he's a driver, an old driver himself. So he knows what it takes. He knows what he's seeing, and you can believe in him. You can trust what he's telling you from the top, from the roof.
Let me help you out, Crystal, with that. So Ryan Blaney won the championship, correct? He won the championship. They had a great season. So, success creates change. Sometimes when you have a very successful year, now you're known as a winner. Now you're known as a champion. Now everyone knows you can get it right. Use that as leverage to get your own deal, to create your own situation that you want to see yourself in. And that's the advantage that comes from winning. If you never win, sometimes you're put in a situation where you don't have any leverage at all to control your own destiny. But, in NASCAR, which makes it great, this is a traveling circus. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone knows when you have the sauce and when you can get it done. And when that is known, you can use that to move around the way you want to move around. So that's what I see happening here, with Ryan Blaney spotter. But in regards to Eddie DeHunt and what's going on with Chase Elliott, in my regards, they would deem that as a terrible season for them. They, for NASCAR's most popular driver, they underachieved this year for whatever reason that is. And, insanity is expecting different results, but you're doing the exact same thing. So pit crew guys, we always know that we could be the catalyst of a shakeup. And we, when things are going well, shit rolls downhill. We're the first to get blamed. It could go that way too for spotters and other individuals who have a hand in this team that want to get back to where they were prior. And part of that process is trying something different, putting people in different situations. And I think that's what's going on now.
So speaking of the off season and silly season, what's going on in pit crew world?
Well, I had the opportunity to talk to a few guys. I reached out to a few just to get an idea, because I remember in the offseason how I felt. And how I felt in the offseason, there was no offseason. Chris, you know me, I never took a week off. I was so paranoid for my job anyways. I felt like if I did take some time off, that just gave someone else the opportunity, you know, to take my job. So I didn't take an off season. But, you know, at the end of the day, I was a bit different in that mindset. You know, you do need a break. You do need a recharge. Sometimes you need to get away from this madness that is the NASCAR circuit. And I reached out to a few, you know, guys, and Derrell Edwards, Jackman for Christopher Bell, you know, had a great season. And he was a Jackman for Ty Gibbs at the same time. You know, he was a part of that when Christopher Bell made the playoffs and Ty Gibbs did not. They switched that crew around. So he had a lot to deal with that year, not to mention he was also part of that championship pit crew that won the pit crew competition, and they secured $100,000 bag.
Big bag
to split between 5 individuals. So I caught up with Derrell. He sent me a message on how his off season was going. So what do y'all think about this?
Yeah, man. Off season's been great. Took a little time away from pit stops. Obviously, me and my family, we flew out to Spain, man, and actually we crossed off a bucket list thing, which was cruising all the way across the Atlantic, man. Me and my family enjoyed that. You know, just some time away. You know, your phone wasn't working. You know, you got away from everybody, got away from society, which was really good. You know, just to clear the headspace. But yeah, OTA's been going great. You know, got a lot of goals, a lot of personal things working on individually that I learned from this previous season. You know, some physical stuff, a couple things, not a whole lot of things, because last year we had a great year. We were pretty good pit crew all season. Had a shot in the championship. You know, didn't go our way unfortunately, but you know. It was good overall. But man, more so for me personally, I'm working on a lot of mental stuff, you know. Just mindset, you know, get my mind right, mind better, how you approach certain things, so on and so forth. So it's not really a whole lot of dialing in the physical stuff. More so working on a lot of mental things to the approach of pit stops, because I've learned a lot, you know, with it being, you know, the second season, I believe, of the one lug pit stops. But with it being my 9th year, you know, it's not more about the physical, it's more about the mental for me. But some other changes is, you know, just changing my diet, just small stuff like that, man. And me and my team, we got a lot of goals next year, similar to what we had last year. You know, being the best pit crew on pit road, obviously. But ultimately get another shot at the championship and bringing that championship home. So yeah, man, a little long-winded with this, but yeah, some goals obviously be really good, really competitive, you know, week in and week out, and have that longevity as a pit crew, you know, over the course of a whole season of being really good. You know what I mean? Because our sport, it goes and runs. You know, it's a game of runs. So we're going to try to find that consistency and that whole mental approach to be really good all year with no fall off.
What stood out to you with that, Chris?
Oh, man. Being in the game 9 years, more of the mental over the physical at that point, changing his diet. So he's focusing in on himself. He's trying to maintain that good health to create the longevity that he's you know, looking for.
You know, what stood out to me is when, you know, what he's showcasing is the importance of family in a reset and having some type of fallout, where not a fallout of support system where you can get out of this grind. You get what I'm saying? And you can reset, because the next year it starts over again and it's going to be twice as hard. So I love the fact that he's got it figured out. He's not focusing on the physical so much. He is focusing on his mental, because you have to be consistent when you're running in the top 5, right?
You gotta stay sharp every week. Gotta be sharp.
It's a different dog. I mean, he's one that they didn't win the championship. They were eliminated. I caught up with Ryan Flores. You know, Ryan Flores is totally opposite end of that spectrum. He won the championship. Flores, but it didn't come easy. Flores had a lot of challenges, you know, as a tire changer. He was working with some fundamental stuff that he wanted to get through. And they were looked at as a weak link for a point, and they overcame that to win the championship. I think that was a big deal. I'm curious to see how he's spending his offseason, and we caught up with him too.
This offseason, I haven't taken an offseason in 2 years because we went from end of 2021 right into one lug nut for 2022. Did all of 2022 right-handed, and then between 2022 and 2023 this past year, I switched from righty to left-handed. So I'm going to take a little bit of an off season here in December, and then get right back to it in January when we start in January. I think there's a couple things we just need to iron out as a team. Even though we won the championship, we felt like Hendrick just had a little bit more pace than us, so we'd like to find 3/10. As you know, in this game, 3 or 4 tenths are easy to come by, but really hard to come by consistently. So it's finding it and being able to do it consistently, and also know that those guys are probably going to find a tenth or two too. So we probably need to find a half second before the end of next year. But keep building on the momentum of this season. Try to ease the championship hangover, and know that we still have the same goals in mind to go do it again, and keep trying to put our guy in position. But as far as the off season goes, I've been pretty fortunate to be pretty healthy. So just putting on a little bit of muscle, and keeping this 36-year-old body in shape while doing good reps to find speed, but also limiting my reps in January, so I'm not hurting come September.
If that doesn't sound like a professional athlete, I don't know what does. It's like we make it look easy. They make it look so easy where you feel like anybody can do this, but it's not that easy. Even though just because someone makes it look easy doesn't mean it's easy. There's a lot that goes into it, and Flores and Derrell Edwards, they represent the best in the world at what they do, because you just can't find a replacement at your local Walmart to do what these guys do. Is that right, Chris?
I mean, absolutely. And the fact that he said, hey, I'm going to change hands. I'm going to go from the right to the left and train my body to operate on that level of intensity.
Yep.
Man, hats off.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
I mean, I don't do any of this. And just the thought of wanting to switch, from one hand to the other, I have a different position. I do something completely different, but I still have like a dominant hand for something. Mm-hmm. And my other hand is
ask me why.
I'll get there. But that's just crazy that he just so calmly said, well, now I'm just going to work with my other hand. Like, if I'm in that professional setting, like, I don't want to do that because I'm going to throw something off. Okay.
Call on me.
Why?
Call on me.
Rocko.
All right, here's why. Now, this is not easy to do. Flores is a right-handed tire changer. And you remember he said he needed to find, if you go back to what he said, him and his team felt like they were not the fastest team, even though they won the championship. They felt like Hendrick had them licked, and they did. The 24 car for sure, and the 5 car had better 4 tire averages and were more consistent to them. So he said he wanted to find 3/10 of a second personally. You know where he's going to do that? In switching his hands from right-handed to a left-handed. He's right-handed, so he keeps the gun in his right hand, which means when he hits that lug, he has to release the gun, pull the tire, grab the gun, put it on. Did you see that? Hit it, release the gun, grab the tire, pull it off, pick the gun up, go back on. When you switch left hand, or if you're a left-handed changer, you hit the tire, pull with your right hand, go back on. Your hand never comes off the gun. Your hand never comes off the gun. It's a built-in cheat code for any left-handed tire changer. So much, in fact, that right-hand tire changers are changing they're reprogramming their whole body. They're becoming ambidextrous just so that they can be faster. 3/10 of a second is huge on one side, because you go to the other side, that's another 3/10. Now you're at 6/10. Now you pick up some speed on your foot speed, on your placement, and you have your tire carrier gel with you. You are making sweet 8-second, 9-second music on pit road, and nobody's going to touch that if you can do that consistently.
That's crazy. Well,
Yeah.
I just speak the facts, Crystal. This is the world we live in.
Still riding at a preschool level, so and then that's never going to change.
Oh yeah.
I think we got one more guy. We got one more guy that we talked to, and you're gonna like this guy, Crystal. I call him the surfer. There's nobody cooler than this guy. I'm going to introduce. Chad Avrit is the rear tire changer for Chase Elliott. Remember, we were talking about him earlier. Now Chad, I call him the Silver Surfer because he didn't play football, he didn't play sports. He was into the X Games type of stuff. He was dirt bike racing, he was surfing. He's a California boy. So before he got out of town, I asked him to hit me up. He was my former tire changer when we were on a 24 car, but I asked him what he was doing this off season, and this is what he said.
Chad Avery here, rear tire changer of the number 9 Chevy. The off season's going well, utilizing the time to hang out with some friends and some family, kind of reflecting on what it was like to change tires left-handed and critiquing myself and kind of growing on seeing where I could better myself and the little things that are just different from having to do it right-handed. So I'm going to sit back, kind of reflect on a lot of film and go over the small things that I feel like I can benefit from and just become a better tire changer overall. The things I'm looking forward to for 2024, I guess, is getting back out there and just competing, having a good time with my teammates, racing hard. We had an uncertain 2023 with our driver, unfortunately, having a little time off due to some injuries. So it'll be exciting to just get back there 2024 and be back with the whole team and grind out another year and fight for a championship. That's what we're here for. Thanks.
Wow.
Yeah, sounds like he's from California.
Because you're from Cali. You're from Cali. So you're out
It's
there.
just very calm, cool, collected, but very focused at the same time.
And that's 2 back-to-back, talking about perfecting the left-hand change, right? With the gun, giving back to family, but said, hey, I need to study some film, work on the body English, and find those tenths moving forward for next year. It's 2 of them back-to-back.
I got another Jack man that we talk about, Joshua Appleby. Now Suarez, they're under a lot of heat. That they didn't have the best season. And then, mind you, their teammate, Ross Chastain, finished the year out winning the race. And their pit crew was in the top 5 majority of the year. But in my opinion, my personal opinion, I feel like the most talent at Trackhouse is on that 99 crew. So it just behooves me on how they had the issues that they had this year. So definitely wanted to reach out to Joshua Appleby, the Jackman for that team, see what he had planned on his offseason. He seemed very pensive and in thought, every time I talked to him, but more so when I talked to him just now.
This offseason is going really well. At this point in the year, I usually take the time to kind of look back on the past year, see what went right, what went wrong, what I can work on, get my body into a really good place and, with a lot of good rest days, but also maybe harder workouts that I wouldn't usually do in season as well. So from a personal goal perspective, I always try and look at year to year, obviously things that I can get better on, and I'm just trying to, adapt to the changes that are always being made. So some things I'll be working on is probably mobility, like flexibility. That always leads to longevity in any type of sport. Being able to prepare for each race even better than I have in years prior, depending on what, as the differences in pit road and track conditions and just things that I need to be aware of. So much of this stop is awareness. It happens so fast. You got to be ready for it before it ever even happens. Let me think what else as far as looking forward to 2024, coming into the 3rd year of this single lug stop, I think you're really going to see things level out. You'll see the teams probably that have been already good stay consistently good, and some others kind of come up. I would hope that our team can be in the top 5 on average week to week. And we'll, again, because we've been doing this for 3 years now, I think we're going to really start nitpicking at some different things that we can in order to either create more speed or consistency. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And once our team is fully set, We're practicing now, but we're really going to hit the ground running in January and get ready for it. Appreciate it. See ya.
He's lying. They're not going to wait till January. They're going to hit the ground running now. You best believe they are going hard right now. He said, hey, our teams aren't set because they are trying out. They are determining what we have to do. They're trying to figure out what do they have to do to get like their teammate and get in the victory lane to make the playoffs next year. That's what they're determining, and they are working hard just like everyone else here. And it is not fun right now if you didn't win a race. It is not fun right now if you didn't make the playoffs on the pit crew. It is not fun for any of those guys right now unless you're Ryan Blaney's pit crew or Ross Chastain's pit crew, because Ryan Blaney won the championship and Ross Chastain won the last race of the year. So they got the only ones, they're the only ones with momentum going on right now. So everyone else, they're on all red alert.
Yeah, getting it in.
You see it, Chris. You're at the shop full time, Chris. You're there. You see him over there, going hard, coming in early.
Weight room. Yep. Weight room practice. Weight room practice. Like you said,
show back up fat and out of shape. What's going to happen to them?
You getting booted. You're out of there.
Booted and chewed.
Done. Career's over.
Where'd he go? He gone. Hey, y'all seen Chris? We on the way. Oh, he gone.
He gone.
He gone.
Yeah.
Just that quick.
Next man up.
Crystal, where he go? He gone.
He gone.
He gone.
So one more thing about silly season. Saw something on Instagram as I was scrolling through. Saw someone shaking hands with Eric Almirola. I noticed he's not completely retired, is he?
No, I think what's going to happen, he's got a soft seat over there, Gibbs, where he started.
Hold on. For the new fans, what are you talking about? What are you talking? Eric Almirola, I remember watching him race. He retired, right?
He retired. He was retired. Done. The 10, no more.
He retired from the 10 car with Stuart Haas. And from the sounds of it, he's going to be running an all-star type car, which means they're going to have multiple cup drivers willing that deal over at Joe Gibbs Racing. So he's semi-retired, if you will. Yeah.
Joe Gibbs Racing.
That's always been a weird thing. Semi-retired and NASCAR.
But that's where he started his career. Joe Gibbs gave him his shot. So it's proper to bring him back, Hats off.
I have to say that morning I was just shocked. I was just scrolling around, thought nothing of it because it was at a Washington Commanders game. And I'm like, yeah, drivers just hang out in the off season. They hang out with Joe Gibbs. No big deal. Shook hands. I was like, okay, nothing. And I saw somebody else say that was like a new deal going on. I was like, yeah, that's BS. I'll wait till I see it. I'll wait till Bob Pocker supports it or something like that. And next thing I know, I see it on MSN. So I'm like, oh, this must be real. Yeah. Right over my head.
I like it though. Wow. I like it though, because at the end of the day, Suarez wasn't Almirola wasn't no chump. Almirola, he finished the year strong. So to leave when you still smoking and you're still hot, I want to leave all the way out too, especially with the money coming in like it is, I'm gonna keep 1 foot in, 1 foot out, come in like I want, do the races that I want, go to the cities that I want. So you got to do like, Almirola, Triple OG coming in there, with all that experience. And not only that, everybody forget, Almirola got the bag from Smithfield. Like that's their dude.
Yeah, and that's their guy.
Contract either. So, anything that he's doing, if as a younger driver, if he could rub off on me on some of that stuff, I'm definitely going to take advantage of that. Yeah,
you have to. Them young drivers need to soak him up, be a sponge around him. He's a wealth of knowledge. Super, super, super nice dude. I'm happy for him. It's good family.
Yeah.
And with that limited schedule, he's able to, like we heard the other pit crew guys say, give back to the family. So it's, because when we're on the grind every week, the family's on the grind too.
Yeah.
So it'd be good. It's a win-win.
And if he was my part-time car, he got a low-key, a legit shot at winning the race.
Every week. Yeah.
I don't mind that either, even if I was a guy working on his team, an athlete working on his team, going to a team like that where it's an all-star car, he's got a shot to win. That's dope.
Yep.
Well, I don't want the time to run away from us. We're getting close to it if we haven't already gone over it. But I think it's very important to still bring these things up. I don't know if it really counts as silly season because it doesn't really have anything to do with the drivers or the racing, but it does have a lot to do with NASCAR. NASCAR has signed a new TV deal.
Brand new.
20 go. No, you know what, Chris? Take it away. I know you want to talk about it.
This is big. It's big. So the TV deal, it's a pretty big deal for the longevity of the sport. I mean, it's somewhere around $7 billion worth of.
Say that again.
Money. $7 billion with the B.
One more time. I'm at
billion. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Billion.
So some of the changes that we have, or we're going to see, or our fans will see, the Cup Series will keep the partners for the Fox Sports and NBC like we always have, but you're introducing Amazon Prime.
Yes.
TNT
is back.
So you're going to have some streaming-based practices and qualifying deals that will be on those streaming events, streaming channels, So Fox will get the first 14 Cup races, which would include the Daytona 500.
Yep, I like Fox.
From there, the next 5 Cup races will be on Amazon Prime.
Now that's different.
Way different. So that's the first time that the Cups, like the big series, has been streamed. Yeah. So
it's not YouTube.
And it's not
That's
YouTube.
Crazy.
Exactly.
That's exciting to me. It reminds me of Thursday Night Football when the NFL did it. And I was like, damn, football on Prime. But then after about the second game, I looked forward to those Thursdays being on that platform because I knew where it was at. So it's going to be awesome to know where NASCAR is for the 5 races, just streaming alone. It's just what we're doing is we're exposing our sport to a new demographic, a new way to consume it. We don't have the antenna and the rabbit ears on our TV anymore. We're not watching channels through the snow anymore or through RF antennas. Everything is coming of age. This is a new time and day. And the best way to get the race, besides being there, which might not even be the best all the time, is through streaming. They do an amazing job with how the access that they have with the racetrack and how they're able to showcase it, especially to new fans. At the same time, it could be hot out there and the elements and all of that. I don't know. Long story short.
That's where like you said earlier, this is the world we live in. Everything is on the stream now. You're streaming everything, right? So So you have to take advantage of those tools that are available to reach new audiences, like we're trying to do right here with our night shifters, right? We're trying to engage new people. So you have to move with the times, or else you're gonna get left behind.
Can I make an example real quick? If y'all don't mind, I'll keep it short.
Sure.
So one example of what NASCAR is doing, I will call this the projection TV model. All right. So imagine going to your grandparents' house, and every year you go there, they have that old projection TV that weighs 300 pounds, takes up the whole room. Crazy. And they never want to change that TV. It works just fine, baby. We don't need a new TV. It works.
Just put the foil on it.
Yeah, foil on that. All right. They have that year after year. One year you go there, guess what? The projection TV is gone. They got a TV like me, behind me, hanging on the wall, space for days. They got room in their room they didn't even know they had. They're dancing around all because they got rid of that old projection TV. Well, guess what? That's what NASCAR did when they upgraded. When they went streaming, they got rid of that projection TV and joined the old LED world. And they streaming now, and they got these flat screens that weigh 50 pounds, that they live in the life. So that's what NASCAR did when they jumped into the streaming world. They got rid of those projection TVs and they jumped into current living.
This is the market.
I also wonder if this is going to get rid of those invasive commercials, like the BK Whopper. I'm so sick of hearing that while I'm trying to watch my race.
Hey, you got to pay to play, Chris. We can't talk about hey, we need those commercials, but I feel you. It will create opportunities to do them in a less intrusive way.
Yeah, or like for so long, like a full 5-6 minutes of commercial. I'm like, all right, that's enough. But still, if that's going to change that.
Say that number again. $7 billion.
$7 billion TV deal, man. $7 billion.
It was under my impression that, I mean, the last TV deal alone was like 700 million. It wasn't even at $1 billion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that just shows you the trickle down effect that will have. I mean, let me just break it down real simple. That money is not just going to go to one place. It's going to trickle down to the whole system, which means there will be an influx of money to all these race teams, which is going to increase salaries. It's going to increase resources. You're going to have the teams that are winning are going to be the ones that don't claim they're broke, because we know that's cap right now, because we've seen what y'all are getting. We know what y'all got before, and now we know what you're getting now. So if you want to win, you better pay to play, because the cream rises to the top, and the talent is going to go where the money's at. And there are going to be teams that aren't scared of spending that money. That's a 40% increase from the previous one. So
40%. That's
any
huge.
team that claims they're broke, it's 3 letters, CAP.
Yeah, big cap. They capping right now, bro. They capping.
CAP. Now I want a bunch of caps coming up on the screen. Hats just all up on the screen. Cap.
Well, speaking of this huge deal, something happened earlier today. Mind you, this is a previous recording for those watching. They had a ribbon cutting ceremony at NASCAR Studios. There is a brand new 53 million. That's small change compared to the TV deal. 58,000 square foot compound that's going to have studios and locations so that little guys like us possibly could have a chance to record in studio content.
Yeah.
Because this is just the way that things are going. People are
How
watching
did they do
more.
it before, Crystal? How did they do
What's
it before?
that?
How did they do it before this building?
I wouldn't know.
They didn't do it before this building.
Although they did have, but they have their NASCAR, it's like an app or something. They have like a little tiny streaming thing that they do something. They have like backseat driver on it or something.
No, what I mean is before this building, how did they do it before? They had that building in Charlotte, correct? The location, the little studio in Charlotte.
Yeah, so that's where they were doing everything.
Right?
Yeah.
But now they have a full compound.
Yeah. So
are you going to have keys to that door?
I don't know. We can only hope. I have a little whisper in my ear in Phoenix about it. So fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. Sky's the limit, right?
We'll take NightShifters to the big stage. Let's go.
Right. So the next thing we have to do is at least take it to the next episode. Am I correct?
I like it. I want to see what it looks like inside. I mean, I saw the ribbon cutting. I saw that Steve was, in his speech that he made, but inside 53 million. I know it's going to be state of the art, and they're going to have so much access where, here's why that's necessary, in my opinion. When you have $7 billion coming in with the idea that you have to create content, you better have a operation or somewhere available where you can create that content and get that work done. So, I feel like that's a good sign. When you have buildings being erected, 2311 has that beautiful building that I drive by every time on the way home. That's being erected here soon. They're moving into there. NASCAR and their $53 million, the TV deal, and the money's coming. NASCAR's trending up. I'm glad to be a part of this energy and this vibe moving forward. Because
it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
I am too. I had a gut feeling when I went to my first race in 2018, and some random guy standing next to me was like, NASCAR is dying. And I'm like, what? I don't believe it. No. I don't believe it one bit. I think it was at that point, I was like, look, I think they're in a transition, and I think we're probably going to see something different. And here it is. Most
of the people who thought NASCAR was dying, they're not around watching racing anymore anyways, because it's not, and it's growing, and the numbers prove it, So at the end of the day, people who say that are the ones that had the projection TVs in their house.
Yeah. You definitely don't make the moves with the TV deals and the new buildings, when your sport is dying. Like the stats don't lie, the numbers don't lie. Mm-hmm. The traditional way of watching races has definitely changed. We've seen it. You get a lot of campers versus seats, but
Daytona sold out already.
Sold out.
Yeah, that was a while ago. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We're going back to Chicago, Yep,
I saw that was up today too.
Tracks are getting repaved. The money floweth in a NASCAR right now. They're testing the new car in Phoenix. Camry, Toyota, they got their new body coming out.
Ford's got the new Mustang bodies dropping.
Yep, there's a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
better get up on it.
It is the end of this night shift. I need to get back into bed.
The sun is coming up now. I mean, shoot, how long we been on? I've been up.
I know it feels like it's gone over because we had to cut it in half. So
I've changed clothes twice in this show.
Well, we will see everybody next week. And I know that I want to give everybody a little time off for the holidays. So I think next week should probably be our final episode of the year.
Cool.
We'll be back in January.
Back strong.
Come back right after New Year's. How does that sound to everybody?
Sounds good.
I'll try to be sober. Well, no, actually, I will be sober.
Yeah, so stay on, and then I'll tell you what I have planned for you guys next.
All right, cool.
All right. Adam, take us away.